Welcome to Game Oven, a collaborative storytelling collective building a world one game at a time. This week, we will be playing Godkiller by Connie Chang. If you like what we're doing here, you can follow us on Blue Sky at Game Oven, or you can join our Discord. And check out our Patreon at patreon.com/GameOven. Previously on Game Oven. Wilo's been a devout follower of Deantoir their entire life, so everyone was surprised when someone else was chosen to be Scion, to receive a fraction of Deantoir's ability to create. This shook Wilo's faith, and 1 week before the new Scion was set to ascend, Wilo kills them and begins a journey of their own to claim what should have been theirs. Along the way to the first temple, Wilo sees the crumbling of Deantoir's creations and decides to break an arm off one of the statues as a sort of trophy. Within the first temple, they find a shard of the first stone, the first thing their god created, and perhaps the only thing that can unmake a god. This is lashed to the stone arm to make an axe. Leaving the temple to draw out their god, they run into Litheris, a local thief who also has a shaken faith. Wilo shows her the truth about Deantoir, and in doing so, awakens their divinity. Awed by this display of power, Litheris decides to join Wilo in their crusade, and something between them is sparked.
Anyways, we should probably keep recording this because I have a light timeline that I'm working on.
Yeah. And we still have a god to kill. And
we
congratulations on your first follower.
Yes.
I didn't fully expect that. I was like, you need a friend. I'm like, okay, you have a follower now.
Yep. Okay.
As you begin heading your way back to the main temple with Litheris following you, do you let the glow fade?
Oh, no. No. Wilo is now past their breaking point, and they are now resplendent. And they are tired of hiding themselves underneath the supplication of a weak god. And so they walk in town with Litheris in one hand and an axe made of the first stone and something more recent and weaker in the other.
As you come in, you're confronted by Kafasa, who you recognize as one of the chief guards, keeper of the law. One of their main duties would have been to protect specifically the Scion.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Kafasa comes up to you. Where have you been? What did you do?
I've been out in the woods.
Where's the Scion? You were the last seen with them. Where are they? And just pointing a spear at you.
Get that out of my face.
Where is the Scion?
The Scion is gone.
Face contorts with anger. You will pay for what you've done.
No. You will pay for what you have failed to do. And I will have words. You have this one moment, one chance to step aside and allow me a word with my God. Something I have worked very hard for. Yield to me, and I will not take retribution on you.
Roll to challenge someone dangerous. When you challenge someone dangerous in front of an audience, say what foolish or risky action you hope they'll take and roll 2d6. Add 1 for each true statement. They care about your opinion. He doesn't.
Nope.
They think they're stronger than you. He does.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd is on your side.
Sure.
You just got Litheris.
Yep. I have hit a 7, but barely.
Okay. On a 7 to 9, your target rises to take the bait.
Mm-hmm.
So what action are you hoping they'll take?
I hope that they will realize that there is more going on than they can handle in this moment and step aside. That is risky for them because it is essentially admitting that their god may not be all they're cracked up to be.
Yeah. I think it's, as you say that last sentence, you see the look on Kafas's face as he recognizes that what about you has changed and sees the radiance coming from you. And there has been no other god to see such divinity that is not of Deantoir is surprising. So I think doesn't fully drop the spear, but lowers it and takes a couple of shaky steps back. What? How?
You will find the scion in the furthest back crate of the furthest storehouse. Look within, and if I have not accomplished my goals by morning, you may put me to death, for it is what I will deserve. But I have a feeling someone else will take that pleasure for you, should it come to that.
Just drops his spear and runs toward that storehouse. And all around you can see, you can hear whispers of people. The word is spreading and they don't know what to do with this, and many of them are afraid.
Wilo looks at Litheris. If you would like to stay back, I will not stop you. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not exactly sure what's gonna happen when I get up there. But I'm gonna tell you this, it's gonna be something to remember.
She thinks about it for a second before saying, you know, I've pulled some risky gambits in my life, and the riskier they are, the higher the reward. I don't think I'm gonna miss out on this score. Plus, who knows, you might need me. Cocky grin.
Very likely. And the two of them will continue to walk hand in hand up towards the temple. Axe is kind of slung over their shoulder, ready.
I kind of picture that as you continue to hold hands with Litheris, some of that divine energy, she is beginning to glow as well.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps in a different color or something that's a little... You described it yours as like a orange?
Yeah,
like
brassy.
A dark orange, brassy orange.
Maybe like... I mean, she's a thief, and she has, some more subtle ways about her. Maybe like a blue, like a dark blue.
Yeah, dark blue. The ocean when it's storming, and as you're walking, she's passing off signals to anyone she might know who's in the crowd.
Mm-hmm. Assembling a cabinet for us.
It's always useful to have extra friends waiting in the wings.
I heartily agree. Nothing can be done alone. I think that's part of the reason that we're seeing the cracks as that is. And as we get to the temple and ascend, How many are following us at that point?
So I'll say there's a crowd of about 80 people who are watching.
Sure. That makes sense.
But the ones who are specifically starting to follow you and Litheris, who seem to be... You can almost feel there's like an intention behind their following. There are 13. You see there's another who's kind of slipped off, perhaps to pass along the message.
As we ascend the stairs into the temple, I would lean over to Litheris and whisper directly into her ear. Have them stay back at this point. No interruptions, you understand?
Of course. She gives the signal to... Just like makes a fist, points at the spot on the floor. Shall I follow you?
Please. And they will heft to the axe in their hand, and as they walk through a threshold, just take a chunk out of the wall with the axe. This is the first stone. It probably cuts through this like butter.
Yeah, I almost picture like you still have Litheris' hand in yours, and you just take the action, swing out directly beside you, super casually, plunging it into the wall in just a very open act. Roll to tempt fate. You are attempting to call out your god. Draw his attention. You do have an ally who's lending your hand with support so you get enough. And your god does not currently actively wish you harm, I don't think.
So this will be a +3, because I have no other options. I have already committed murder. I am going down a path.
Yeah, I'll allow it. It's a one shot, I'll allow it.
That's gonna be another 7.
You get through mostly unscathed. The fates spare you for now. So you don't quite bring the building down on you, as this impacts with more ferocity than you expected.
Yeah, that I was not trying to bring down the building. I was trying to essentially make my presence known. Walking in, what does this kind of foyer area look like?
Yeah, I'm picturing like a wide open space, like a forum where people can gather to discuss things. This might be actually where the Scion will meet with the other priests to discuss ideas.
Now that we're in here, Wilo is just letting the axe drag on the ground and cut through the stone. Because this thing is perfect. And everything else is nothing to it.
Give me a roll to recognize a god as you're looking to see if Deantoir is noticed or is coming.
Okay. I am in their domain. I am familiar with their gospel.
Yes.
And it would be bad if I didn't know, so this is a +3.
Yes, it'd be really bad if you don't notice. But the dice might still have a story to tell.
Overkill. 11. You realize that your divinity is actively trespassing against them right now. And I'm assuming that counts as more than a hit as well. So rather on a hit, I can ask you a single very clear question, which is, how do I get them to come to me? Well, actually, no, let's do this right here. I'm sorry. You need to give me a clear interpretation of the omens. So what is going on in front of me right now that I am being an absolute douche in their church?
I think that might tie into the overkill as you look down and you see your very divinity is changing the floor beneath you into something else. What is this change looking like?
I think the stone is giving way to metal. I think that in Wilo's youth abroad, they were privy to, like we talked about, places with much greater technology. And one of the biggest changes is the greater use and utilization of metal. And so I think these beautifully carved floors are being turned into pressed and mosaicked metal.
Yeah. And the original stone floors had these natural artistic motifs in them, but with each step, the metal continues to spread with, I kind of imagine maybe more of like a geometric pattern.
Yes, 100%.
So I was trying to think of like what their true form was. And so we've also talked about like they're very natural focus, creating with nature, very good balance with nature. So the temple, you are somewhere very high up, and I imagine it's a pretty open area. Like there's doors that they can close, but they're open right now because there's supposed to be a party going on. And I guess there's still kind of a party going on.
It's a different kind of party.
Very different kind of party. So you can see the woods around you. It's a very heavily wooded area, and you can see some of the trees starting to move and shake as something is coming towards you. Deantoir heard your challenge, and they're coming.
Beast of the woods. Disappointing. I'm disappointed in divinity. How did you keep me asleep for so long, Deantoir? It was always your plan to let this die. And Wilo will square up.
And as Deantoir approaches, you've expressed profound disappointment. Would you like to feel someone out? Or maybe connect with someone?
I want to connect with someone. I want to connect with Deantoir. I owe him that much.
Tell them something intimate.
I gave everything for you. Everything. I let go for you. And you threw me aside like so much sand. Why? And what common ground do we still share? I think is a genuine love of this island. I think there is a recognition that we have different ideas of how things should best be handled. But at the end of the day, what we both genuinely want is whatever is best for these people and this land.
What still divides you is divinity. Began with creation. Yours began with the death of someone you once called friend.
A name that has been struck from mine and everyone else's memory. And I really want to know why.
Question. Who was that person to you?
We were everything. We were friends, we were lovers, in different times. It was only a couple of years that they were with the church, but we shared clearly many things, but the thing above all was our devotion. And when the answer came down, well, it was easy to get them to be pulled aside. And it was my treachery that ended their life. But that life gave birth to something new. And that's what we're riding out right now.
So you square up and wait for Deantoir to approach. You see the movement through the trees. As you see there's something large moving and shaking, disturbing, and then it just stops. Then you hear a gasp of surprise from Litheris as she glances behind her to look at something. You see her reacting. And as you turn behind her, you see Deantoir. This creature made it looks like the legs are built and grown from tree trunks that wrap up in this massive fine stone wrapped body, and you see these glowing eyes and almost feline face, tendrils on its back of thick fine that are studded with sharp pieces of stone. And you just hear a voice in your head.
You dare.
I did. Litheris, please watch my back.
Feel her shift around, so she's standing back to back, and you feel the motion as she's pulling out her daggers, because she doesn't have a magic axe. She just got knives.
Yep. Why, Deantoir? Why did you do it?
To keep this safe. Protect it from the rest of the world.
To what end? Something protected and never used. It's a flower on a mantle. And this island is no flower. And Wilo will charge forward, and I would like to roll to inflict violence.
Give me the roll.
Okay.
They wish you harm, you're desperate, and it is personal.
This is a +3.
Yeah, as you're charging forward, you just hear Deantoir's voice in your head.
Foolish child. You never had what it takes to be Scion.
I have rolled a 13.
Holy.
A 6 and a 4 +3. I lose myself to righteous fury. You tell me the costs of my divinity.
Describe to me how you begin this attack.
I think it kind of starts the same way that a lot of this has been going. I'm not sure how far away Deantoir was when we were beginning to square up like that. But this axe is massive and heavy. Stone was a terrible choice for the handle, and really, Wilo knew this going in, but Wilo, if nothing else, is a little bit overdramatic, and they recognize that within themselves in this moment as they're trying to heft this just absolutely weighted axe. But as they run, it is still cutting through the stone floor. Every step is changing the stone into mosaic tiles. Some of them are showing beautiful, intricate patterns. Some of them are showing moments from this day that, if they do ascend to well beyond their station, will become the legend of their birth. And they run, and they rush, and they heave the axe overhead and try to bring it down on Deantoir.
You just begin hacking away at Deantoir, carving off these vines that whip towards you. With each step and each hit, you can feel your divinity and your power growing. As his followers are watching him be destroyed, and your followers are watching you do it. You get him to a point where you're about to potentially finish him when something snaps you out of this as you hear the sound of Litheris falling to the ground.
head whips around.
In your rage, one of your attacks that you swung back hit her. She's dying.
I can't fix her now. But you can. Or at the very least, your powers can. And more sure than ever, there is no other recourse. Wilo is going to kill to get this power.
So I guess we're to the crucible move.
Indeed.
We confront a god in their true form and exploit their downfall to kill them, the downfall being the first thing they created, the only thing that can unmake them. Describe how you slay them and roll 2d6.
Wilo takes the axe in both hands, looks at it, and realizes this is too unwieldy, and undoes the binding. Casts the newer stone aside and takes the first stone. Walks over to Deantoir, raises it up like a common stone, and is just going to bring it down into their heart.
Give me the roll.
Anything to add to this?
It is a straight roll.
And if I could roll on the table for this very important roll, that would be great.
Very.
7. 3 and a 4.
On a 7 to 9, they see something vital from you as well. Name what vital part of yourself you lose. What does Wilo lose as they kill Deantoir?
Wilo loses every meaningful memory from before they joined Deantoir's service. They remember the things about the outside world. They remember their drive to want to put this place on the pedestal as the rest of the world. But it lacks the warmth. It lacks the intention. It isn't a desire to, bring the rest of the world that they remember seeing when they were small with their family. It is a desire to do that for its own sake. They lose that warmth.
I think the last thing you hear is,
You will not realize what you've done until it's too late.
Twist the stone.
and Deantoir's body dissolves. Almost like it's rotting and crumbling to dust before your eyes, this god who's been here since maybe even the beginning of time.
As quickly as possible, Wilo will seize the power.
He's the power of creation.
Right. What does this look like? Is it, just kind of like a floating mode of energy?
I think what it looked like when Deantoir first seized this power is different than what it looks like now, because what it means to create now is different than what it meant to create then.
True enough.
So, what does Wilo see as they go to grab the source of this god's power?
I think it would take the form of like a glowing wooden orb. Something perfect, but still something natural. Something that could, through some unexplained process, appear in the natural world, but is clearly the product of hands and thought. Wilo seizes it, and immediately it pops into nothingness, but is taken within their form. And that brassy element is absolutely effervescent. They are just contained within. And I would like to use this moment to unleash my divinity to heal Litheris.
Or wield power.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was either thinking unleash your divinity because that would put Wilo back into kind of a zero state if you wanted to play with that a little bit more. But wield a power, we could definitely still do that. So
yeah, Wilo is a god now.
Yes. I am desperate for this to work, so I'm going to mark 1 strain. And I am still close, so this is going to be a +2, but I will definitely mark that strain because this is strenuous. This is a tough day.
Yeah, it's been a day.
It's been a day. That is going to be... That's an 8 on the die. And that was going to be a +1, 2. So that is a 10, so that is overkill.
Describe how you also drain, terrify, or wreck what's around you. What havoc it does... Because at this point I think Litheris is dead or almost dead. What havoc does healing her wreak upon this temple?
Wilo reaches. This is a power, like this is a frantic attempt at trying to get this to work. This is effectively like William Shakespeare trying to drive a Tesla. It's gonna go bad. And Wilo runs over and then just reaches to where that wound was, which I'm imagining is like a massive chest wound. Like in my careless, feckless attack, I just swung wide and
right across the gut. It almost completely gutted her.
Yeah. What they do is reach down and grab them, and it's like trying to literally pull them back together. And instead what happens is that molten metal pours out, and their skin and guts is mended, but it is not mended with flesh or even like foliage or like the flesh of another creature like would occasionally happen with the more naturalistic way things were working, but are now mended with prosthetics and metal. Flexible metal. Like it is a miracle, but it is also wrong for what one would expect before.
Yeah, and she just gasps back to life like, you're still alive. I'm still alive. Puts her hand to her stomach and just like, I could get used to this.
I think I could too.
Looks around at the temple. I like what you've done with this place.
Needs a little more work. Want to help?
Wouldn't miss it for anything.
Good. Tell the others. There's work to be done.
And in the years that follow, what does the island come to look like?
It takes about a year to get the island truly on Wilo's side. Many people were happy. That's the reality that they really didn't see going in, is that people were happy just quietly living under Deantoir. They asked for little. But as that year goes on and the changes go underway, it is a quick process for many of them to realize, oh, it is actually kind of nice having like metal in the walls and like like a metal stove. That's pretty great. Heats up
Yeah.
way better.
My roof isn't leaking every time it rains.
There's, Wilo, like, yeah, they killed the last guy, but also, well, there are some fringe benefits there.
Does Wilo keep their name?
Yes.
Or do they choose a new name?
No. The only thing that Wilo's parents gave them that they remember is their name. And that is what they keep. Their parents do not come around, at least as far as Wilo is ever concerned or is aware of. At this point, their family is Litheris and the 13 that joined them at the steps. That's all that Wilo needs with people. Other than that, it is about expansion. And after about a year, communication between the different villages is expedited. Roads are built. Ports are under construction. And soon, they will be taking off to the seas to try and join the greater world.
Indeed they will. And I think we'll just end it there.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
God, that was good. I didn't expect so many of those things to happen.
No, and also an immediate and intense romance.
Yes.
Like,
I was like, didn't see this coming, but it makes sense.
but this is like, hey, for a bunch of like people in their mid-20s in a very high intensity situation. Yeah, it's gonna get something. Emotions are gonna happen.
Yeah, also, make your own destiny. Well, old God's shit. This guy's in order to be new good. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
That was good.
And we
All
saw the birth of the first city that Island has ever seen.
Excellent.
Real quick, for our listeners, remind us who you are, where people can find your stuff.
Yeah, so my name is Chase. I am the DM of Another Path, which is a D&D 5th edition podcast. We've been going for, like 6 years now. We've got a couple of campaigns under our belt, so I promise if you want to start listening, you don't have to start from the very beginning. Although, not a bad place to start. Maybe you're in for a binge. I don't know your life. The other podcast I am on regularly is Imprinted Echoes, which is a cipher system podcast in the world of Numenera. Both of those shows can be found on the Ghostlight Media Podcast Network, where theater meets gaming. And that can be found at ghostlightmedia.net.
And as always, you know where to find me, dear listeners. I'm the one editing all of this nonsense and making it sound good.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, thanks again for joining me on this. This was hella fun.
Super fun, and maybe we'll do it again.
I think we should do it again.
Hey, do you want to do this one more time?
Yeah.
But wait, go with me here. Let's flip it.
Okay.
We'll see you next time, folks.
See you then. You have been listening to Game Movin'. If you like what we're doing, please consider supporting us over at patreon.com/GameMovin'. Today's game was Godkiller by Connie Chang, featuring Brianna Jean as the GM and Chase from Ghostlight Media as Wilo, the Godkiller.